Hey guys, welcome to this week's Meet the Collection. This guy has been on the channel at some point, but not for a Meet the Collection segment. This is Mr. Charlie Murphy. He is a sideswipe Borneo shorttail. Real funky pattern on him, and he's a lot darker than my other sideswipe stuff, which is why I held him back. On top of the fact that I just like the funkiness of that pattern on the back. Plus, I really like the color coming up the sides and just that darker color in general. But I want to kind of try to separate the two lines of sideswipe if I can. And not even necessarily separate them, but just see if I can control the outcome a little bit more of dark versus light. And so when he was a baby and he first hatched, he was really, really dark for a Borneo. You could tell right away he was different than the others. And so that's why I named him Charlie Murphy, because Charlie Murphy's nickname was Darkness. I probably should have saved that name for a real dark male Sumatran shorttail in hindsight, but I just thought it was cool for him and it stuck, and now he's Charlie Murphy. Not quite the same personality. It's not like Ron Burgundy where the personality really fit for him as well. But Charlie Murphy's a cool guy here. He's pretty laid back. Not a snake that I spend a tremendous amount of time with, but I hammer that into you guys all the time. You really don't have to spend a ton of time with snakes to keep them tame. As long as they know the routine and they're used to you, it doesn't take much. You know, I move them to clean them, pick them up. When I went in there right now, he had a food response as he usually does. That doesn't mean he struck at me or anything, but you could just tell by his body language that that was his first hope. And, you know, generally speaking, what I do is I just try to grab them about here to here on their body. You know, that's where I'll put my hand when I first touch them to let them know that I'm not food. And when I feed them, obviously, I make sure I'm not tapping the side of their body with the food first. I'm putting it, you know, up to their face or in front of them so they can approach it. That kind of little subtle consistencies make a huge difference with animals. Now, it's not a given. That doesn't mean you're not going to ever catch a food response from an animal. But I find these guys are pretty smart if you give them a good routine and keep things pretty consistent. You don't have much in the way of problems. I'm working on that now with my female white lip. I'm just making sure I'm consistent on which door I feed from and which door I approach her from. Just one more thing, you know, she's an intelligent animal, so I want to utilize all the tools and tricks that I have to work on making our relationship better, and not having her have to wonder, am I coming in there to feed her? Am I coming in there to mess with her? I think is just one more thing that I can utilize to help that relationship. And so I try to do that with all my animals. Now, some of them, especially in a tub setup, you know, you're always approaching from the same place. You could try to feed on one side of the tub versus the other, but I think that's going to be a little bit harder of a distinction for them to make. But generally speaking, with shorttails, if there's food, they're usually looking for food. Even if there's not, some of them are looking, but they're not looking the same way. Like if I had been feeding and then I went in to get him, he would have come forward much, much more looking for food than what he did. I mean, he literally just came out with a, hey, could you maybe have some food? As opposed to if I was feeding, it would be, let me shoot out and see if he has food later. They don't have any patience by that point, fucking bugs. But let me see if I can get his head in the camera here a little bit. See if we can't get him to give you a little headshot there. Cool guy, he's got big expressive eyes. Very easygoing animal, very mellow. You know, he's really easy keeper. Doesn't care about much, sheds great, eats great. I haven't tried breeding him yet. This year he will be old enough. The female that I really want to put him to is not ready. And then I have another young female from Lilith's clutch that's very dark that I'm going to hold back. What happened is his father, Spot On, it was either like, I think it was his grandmother or something, or maybe his mother, I can't remember which, but there was a very dark sideswipe animal in the lineage. And so these dark animals seem to pop up from time to time. But I don't think that anybody's focused on specifically making dark ones. So I'm going to try taking him and putting him to this very dark females and see if I can get this result a little more consistently. I've been able to lighten them up, at least so it would seem, in a couple of clutches that I've done so far since I've tried. But next season or the season after is where I'm really going to start trying to make more of that light stuff more consistently too. So we'll see how I do. You know, it might not work out, but I'm still going to make cool snakes along the way. It's fun to work on projects where you don't really know where you're going to end up. You have this vision in your head, but Borneos like to just do whatever they want to do, right? What are you doing? It's funny, somebody's commented before that it's crazy that I would trust these guys in my face. And I don't advise anybody to have snakes in their face unless you're prepared to get bit in the face, because it can happen. And also, you know, you've got to have trust with your animals. There's ones like my ocelot male, he's not coming anywhere near my face, ever. You see him near my face, something's wrong with me. Send me and Joe Biden to the dementia camp, because we're in trouble. Right, Mr. Murphy? But this is one of the things that I really like about short tails, is they are very personable. They are very curious about what I'm doing. And he will come right up to me and he will check out what I'm doing. And right now he's mesmerized by my voice. And it's not so much the sound, but he can feel the vibration and obviously the airflow. And he may be trying to determine, is this a predator? Is this food? You can see he's not nervous. But you also see there's no tongue flicks. Now when I move, there'll be tongue flicks. But he was just kind of in the zone. And it's something to be aware of, because you don't know what's going through his head or how he's processing that information. But I do trust him. And, you know, outside of feeding situations, he's never ever looked at me the wrong way or anything like that. Feeding, he is typical short tail where he loves his food and he has no patience. And, you know, you just kind of get used to that with them. That's probably the biggest difference between blood pythons and short tails that I've noticed. And there are blood pythons that are ravenous feeders. But I would say the majority of my bloods don't even want food off the tongs. They just want you to drop it in the tub and let them go and get it. Talking about frozen thawed, of course, or pre-killed. They don't even want live anyways. They don't want to do any work. They just want to go over and start eating. Whereas the short tails seem to get much more into it, much more into the hunting and striking. And, you know, a lot of them will drop feed too, but I don't think I have any short tails that won't take food off the tongs. I can't think of any off the top of my head, whereas I have a lot of bloods that won't. Both my T-positive ivories, neither one of them will go near the tongs ever. If you touch them with food, they want nothing to do with it, but if you just drop it on the floor, they'll eat it right away. Ron Burgundy, I'd say about 15% of the time he'll take food off the tongs. Most of the time he wants it left. You can like tease him into taking it, but you literally have to like bludgeon him in the head like 30 times with the rat, and he's finally like, okay. And you get one of two responses. Either he'll just open his mouth and wait for you to put it in there for him, or he'll actually grab it and do like a half-ass coil. But he prefers his food that way. When I had Stevie, she preferred her food just to be put in there so she could eat it. My Matrix female that I sold, she would take off the tongs and occasionally, probably 10% of the time, but she preferred for it to just be drop fed. My Batik, he'll come hit off the tongs, his mother too. Raiden will explode for food. My T-positive female, I don't think she's been on the channel. She's different T-positive than you're used to. She will take it off the tongs, so will a lot of my younger bloods, but once they get some age, they just get lazy. But yeah, he's pretty ravenous. I'm getting way off topic because this is supposed to be all about this guy here, right, Mr. Murphy? Hi. It's right in my eye. Your tongue in my eye. But yeah, I find short tails very personable. Like I said, there are exceptions. His mother actually is one of those exceptions. His mother will kick my ass. And it's funny because his mother was not always as bad as she is now. She used to just be bipolar, where she'd have days where I could handle her like this. I could throw her on my shoulder, walk around the yard, and she was great. And then she'd have days where she wanted to kill you. Now she wants to kill me every time she sees me. She's also very up there in age. She's close to 20 years old, and she's just a curmudgeon. You know, I don't know what it is over time, why she's gotten moodier, but power to her. I may breed him back to her someday. She's dark. She's as wild type looking of a Borneo as I have, but she's funky looking. Got some funky patterning, which I think carried over into him and his siblings. But I've never bred her again. And that was her first clutch, and she was like, I don't know, 16, 17 years old when she had her first clutch, something like that, 15 years old at least. So, you know, she would definitely breed again, but I just haven't. We'll see. I have an abundance of females, so I don't always necessarily breed everybody very often. You know, Lilith is 9 years old. She's had 2 clutches. Electra I've had 2 clutches with. You know, my Blue Ghost female, I had 1. She had last year off. I may breed her this year. I may not. You never know, right? Hi. But yeah, him, Dio is super personable. I don't think he's been on the channel yet either. He's not a short tail that I really will probably ever breed. He's Lilith's brother. But he's like super personable typically. He was moody yesterday when I went in to give him water. But a lot of them were moody yesterday. I think it was just hot. But yeah, it's really cool when you have the personable ones. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, I don't spend a lot of time with Charlie. It's just his personality. He's just very interested in what's going on around him. He's very focused on things. Right now it's on me, right? You know, he'll let you scratch his chin. You can touch his head. You can touch his tail. You can do whatever you want with him. He doesn't care. And pretty much every short tail that I've raised and spent any time with, I shouldn't say just raised, but stuff that I've hatched out, they've all been like that. And it's weird because some of them I'll sell and they'll be monsters with new people. And I'm not saying I'm a snake whisperer by any means, because I have some that hate my guts. But the ones that stay with me that you know, hatched here, they're all great. I don't think I've ever been bitten by one of my holdbacks ever. I mean, as a tiny baby, but I don't count that. Especially because it's usually during sexing or something where they really take it personal. But yeah, I mean, this guy I can pretty much do anything with. He'll sit on the couch, he'll do whatever. You know, you can throw him over the old shoulder if that's what you want to do. You know, give him a little chin rub action. He doesn't care. That's what it's all about to me. I know this isn't an enjoying our animal segment, but these Meet the Collection ones, I get to hang with my animals too. So this channel's really been a great excuse for me to spend more time with them, which I really like. But I mean, how can you beat that? You know, yeah, you can sit there and pet your dog or your cat, and I love my dog and my cat, but they're wired to seek that out and want that kind of attention. These guys, you kind of have to earn their respect a little bit, and you know, earn their trust in a sense, to where they know you're not going to hurt them. Obviously, this snake knows he's in no danger with me whatsoever. Doesn't feel any need to defend himself. He's not looking at me funny when I move my hands or anything. No quick head jerks, nothing. You know, I can move my head back here. He's not really even paying that much attention. He's watching me, you know, with his eyes, seeing what I'm doing, but he doesn't feel the need to react to it because he feels completely safe. And so that's a cool place to be with your animals, where they just totally trust you no matter what you do, and you can just hang out and have a good time. And you know, the worst he's going to do is move away when he's done. That's it. It'll hang there for a while. Cool animals. This is going way too long. I'm just enjoying it, so I'm sitting out here longer. So we'll see you guys on Saturday. Have a good one.